Hello, it's Wednesday, and I wasn't around for 2 weeks because I was at a convention and then I got con flu. For those that don't go to conventions, con flu is when you get ill after a convention. It's not necessarily actually flu. I've had my flu shot. I should be fine on that. You just pick up all sorts of bugs and stuff from the close proximity to everyone and from the general stress of being at a convention. So, I'm back now and I've been painting, kind of. Been painting in coordination with my partner. We've got a game of Age of Sigmar coming up at some point in December, or possibly January. Hello. And I don't normally play games with my models, but it's kind of a tradition now. And last year we used my Nighthaunts, which weren't painted, and this year our intention is to use the same Nighthaunt army, but this time actually painted. So we've been kind of bunkering down to try and get as many of the Nighthaunts painted as possible. Now, didn't make as much progress as expected because aforementioned Conflu. And also Death Stranding came out, which is an excellent game no matter what anybody says. If you don't understand why it's excellent, then you've probably not played it for long enough to really get to the super good bits and are still actually stuck in the tutorial. Short version. Don't at me in the comments. I like Death Stranding. I think it's a work of genius. So, there you go. Yeah. Painting the Nighthaunts. I'm at this stage. This is like the most done figure that I've got. This is the exact same method that I used for painting the Thorns of the Briar Queen. So, nothing special there. And it looks a bit like this on my painting table at the moment, which is to say, an absolute nightmare mess. This is my reference model, one of the Thorns of the Briar Queen, the old Everhanged. So, yeah, I've got, the old Night Shrouds on Horsey, 10 of the old Grimghast Reapers who've only just had like their first coat of the turquoise ink applied. Everything needs a second coat of that, and then the green ink's applied over this. So there's 10 of them. They're all the push fit ones. One of them, where is he? Don't know if I can find him. Where's the second guy with the bells on? There he is. Because these only come in 4s in the old push fit variety. So that is the scythe off a Cairn Wraith that I broke in place of the bell. Dead simple conversion. It was really, 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 really easy, and got me the one extra Reaper that I needed in order to turn. I think it was 12 of them into 10. Because if you get 12 of them, you get 3 that have got the bell. So you need to turn one of them into a guy with a regular scythe. So, yeah, 10 of those. That's one battle line unit. I've got 30 chain rasps. Where I've actually got 2 unit leaders for those. So we'll probably field them as 2 different units. But I think in order to make 1,000 points, I only need 20. And again, just like everything else, they're kind of at the first stage of doing the green-blue ink. Got 8 Murmon Banshees, who are supposed to end up looking a bit like the old Briar Queen herself. Those are for a different project. The person watching this knows what they're for. That the project is for. And over here we have Wobbly McGee, Wibbly Wobbly, the old Lord Executioner, who's going to need a little bit of extra white airbrushed onto some spots at the end. Got some pooling, which is really annoying. And this is used in standard my remaining pots of Waywatcher Green rather than the one I mixed up. The one I mixed up actually sticks slightly better than this, weirdly. But yeah, we've got some pooling there, but I need to go a bit dark, a bit brighter with the green on the characters, because they've got much larger areas than the smaller chain rasps have, which is what I've mostly done in the past. And got this guy, was it a chain ghast? I can't remember the names. The one carrying his shopping, that one. And boop. The old spirit something. I can't remember the name. The one with the little lamp. That guy. That brings people back and heals them. Good stuff. Good in combination with lots of chain lists. And it's slightly over 1,000 points worth of models that I'm painting. All at once. I'm mostly just concentrating on getting all of the airbrushing colours done. Get the gradients sorted out. Then once that's done, it's on to painting all the skin with Demonette hide. And then I'm not going to wet blend the skin on every single one of these models. I did that on the Thorn to the Briar Queen. It took a long time. And I've got 50 odd models to do. So I'm going to be doing just Demonette hide and then a layer of something lilac. I can't remember what it was called. Lucius lilac or something like that. That might be the dry brush paint, but equivalent. But it's a lighter version that goes well over Demonette hide and looks pretty close to the skin tone. So it's basically just going to be a base, a highlight, and maybe a wash of the purple contrast paint, whose name I can't remember. Hang on, I've got it here. This one, Magos Purple. Yeah, some of that. Demonette hide, that, and then lilac is the plan for all of the skin and faces. Those that have a face. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't. And once that's done, then it's painting all of the wood. And then once the wood's done, it's all painting weapons, and it should be pretty easy from that point onwards, but it's going to take a long time to do all the skin. So this is like my personal painting project for like the next probably 4 weeks, I think. I'm not going to be painting much else apart from this. I'm trying to figure out some topics to cover for Patreon. I'll be editing some videos for Skaith's Wild Hunt during this week. How to paint blonde hair, how to paint... pretty much just how to paint blonde hair. How to paint white fur is not a particularly interesting video. Comment below if you want me to do that one, because it's not hard. It's like 3 colours with an airbrush and job done. There's nothing particularly special about it outside of the context of Skaith's Wild Hunt. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why I got really bored of painting them, because there was nothing special about them. They was just super easy, paint by numbers, not that fun to paint in the end. I was enjoying them at first, but then it just got really tedious. So yeah, trying to figure out other topics for that. I've been experimenting with battle damage. Can you see? I don't know if the phone wants to focus on that at all. There you go. Yeah, I've been damaging up some bits and bats of Space Marine. Come on, focus. So, if you want me to do a video on that, I will. That's a pretty easy video and a pretty simple technique. You won't believe how easy this technique is. But other than that, yeah, not done a lot. Again, conflu and so on. This guy hasn't changed. So, nothing much to report. I've been practicing some metallics dry brushing. I kind of forgot how good it looks when you do it right, with the right paints. I got stuck in this weird rut of always trying to airbrush metallics, and I don't know why. Weird things happening. It was just like, but dry brushing is actually just better. It just looks better. So long as you're using the right paints. And, yeah. So I've dry brush some Stormcast Eternals. I've started a lot of projects, I haven't finished much. That's basically been the theme of this year. Starting a lot, not finishing anything, really. Unless it's for somebody else. Very easy to finish projects for other people, very hard to finish them for myself. No new progress on the Space Marines. Looking at this guy now, like, you know what, actually this is pretty good. I'm just going to stick with this method. And this colour scheme, he looks pretty good. Not going to go with a red armour or anything. I might go with a black cowl on the backpack, just to give the helmets a little bit of contrast behind them, a contrasting background. But aside from that, it's pretty much done. Maybe a black knee pad. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about being away unannounced, but I really needed the break. So yeah, nothing much to report apart from just, you know, tons of Nighthaunts everywhere. Absolutely tons of them. And oh well, I guess there's a few things we can talk about. That, you know, there's my painting things. Let's talk about what Games Workshop has been doing, because, you know, we can't not talk about Games Workshop. They are the brand leader after all. And Games Workshop flubbed the launch of the Sisters of Battle Army box by not making enough. Yes. I mean, do you know anyone in your actual real life that managed to get their hands on one of those army boxes without paying ridiculous scalper prices on eBay? I doubt it. I certainly don't. I'm going to be camping outside my Games Workshop store on the 29th of November for them to open it, in the hopes that I can run in there and go, give me the thing that you might have. And I'm going to ask him if he's going to get any stock beforehand. If he's going to get at least one, I'm camping there. They say it's going to come out, the multi-part kits are going to come out in January, so there's no time to, you don't have to wait very long, no, but you do have to spend a lot more money if you want the same models that are in the box. So, you know, that's annoying. And also, you're currently in a weird limbo position where you cannot use the current rules for your army if you're in a tournament between now and January when the regular codex comes out. The most ridiculous thing is that they released the new codex only as a limited edition and didn't release the regular one alongside it. I don't know what's going on in Games Workshop's head, but I feel like they thought, but if we release the regular codex, no one will buy the limited edition box. Which is not true. There's so many Sisters of Battle players out there that are craving plastic models. They'll buy anything. The fact that it sold out in 3 minutes and crashed the Games Workshop website when it went up, you know, it should indicate that, yes, hungry for models, hungry for new models, the Sisters of Battle players are. Absolutely desperate for them. So, yeah, that was ridiculous. I'm very, very, very grumpy about that, but I'm mostly just disappointed that they so massively underproduced. My only theory is that Amalia Novena, the limited edition model that I painted for the channel, didn't sell that well in stores. It sold out online eventually. It didn't sell out straight away. It wasn't this big thing where everyone, let's get the model. It sold out in stores after several weeks. Like, my local store had copies of her available for weeks after she came out. I talked about it in a work in progress on the day, actually. And I think they saw, oh, nobody wants to buy Sisters of Battle. We'll not produce that many of the army box then. Hedge our bets. We don't want to be sitting on stock of that we can't shift. There's only a certain number of limited edition codexes that they can order, to be honest. I think packaging the limited edition codex with the models was a stupid idea in the first place, but they decided to do it. Because I know that the lead time on ordering books from their printers has to be at least like 6 months, and they come from overseas, so they can't really modify it afterwards. So that's the thing. It's like they had so many limited edition codexes they wanted to send out, but, you know, they certainly had enough to be able to send them out to some YouTubers who don't appreciate what they got. I'm not bitter. I'm very bitter. But yeah. So I understand that, but they shouldn't have packaged the limited edition codex with the models. They should have made the models just available as an army starter box. They can make it limited run. You know, it's like once it's gone, like the Shadowspear box was and all the other boxes. But there was so much demand for it, and the reason why Amalia Novena didn't sell was because she had no rules. She was just a sister superior with a bolt gun. There was absolutely nothing special about her. And despite everything that Games Workshop likes to say, rules sell models. Rules sell models. Look at anything in Warhammer 40k that's got terrible rules and it does not sell well. Look at anything that's overpowered, it sells by the bucket. It's just simple as that. If they haven't figured that out, or then they're just in denial about it. You give something, a special rule. If Amalia Novena had had one special rule, then she would have sold out day one. As soon as people found out, oh, she's got a special rule, I've got to get her. Only available for a short time, gonna get her. It would have worked, but they didn't do that. So yeah, Games Workshop is kind of being a bit of a dummy there. So what else have they been up to? They announced Warhammer Old Worlds. This is really annoying for mainly one reason. I just rebased an entire fantasy army onto circle bases. Here they are. I just went out and I got 50 odd 25mm round bases so that I could rebase a Dark Elf army onto round bases. And then they announced Warhammer Old Worlds. I'm just like, literally like 2 weeks after I did that, I was so annoyed. I had made my peace. I had gotten through the grieving process for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I just was like, okay, it's never coming back. Age of Sigmar it is then. And then they go, actually, we've decided to bring it back in 2 to 3 years. Like, I would have been happy if they had not told me. And then just gone, oh look, we brought it back, and here's the rules, and here's some pictures of models. But no, they went, here's a logo. In 2 to 3 years, maybe there'll be a game. I'm just like, I'm more annoyed. If they hadn't told me about that and just done it as a surprise a while from now, I would have been much happier. I'd have been, spent two years playing Age of Sigmar with my rebased armies, and I'd have been like, yeah, I got value out of that, I'm happy. Now I'll start a new army for Warhammer Old Worlds, because, quite frankly, a regiment-based battle system is always going to be much more interesting in the movement phase than Age of Sigmar ever is. Fight me. Yeah. That's what I think. Warhammer Fantasy Battles, despite all of its bloat, was still a better game than Age of Sigmar. The fact that a lot of people at my local store didn't understand the rules well enough to be able to actually play it well might have had something to do with the success of Age of Sigmar. I think out of everyone that played Warhammer Fantasy Battles at my local store, there was probably only about 3 or 4 of us that really understood how to play it and how to actually use the movement system to be able to actually do strategy. Most people just mashed their units into each other and rolled dice until one side won or lost. And they would usually lose really, really hard to anybody that knew how to control the movement phase. So, yeah. I can absolutely see it was not a mainstream game in the same way that 40k was, where you just slap your models down and roll dice if that's all you want to do. Couldn't really do that in Fantasy Battles. You'd just lose every single time to anyone that knew what they were doing. So, yeah, I understand why it went, but I still think it was, for me, the better game. I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than I have ever enjoyed Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar has always mostly just felt like Warhammer 40k light, essentially. It's just trying to bundle as many different auras into one location as you can, as many models into a 6-inch or 9-inch bubble, so that you've got the most bonuses to hit. And I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for in a tabletop war game. I want, movement, baits, traps, ambushes, that stuff to work. And it doesn't work anywhere near as gracefully as it does in Fantasy Battles did. I'm not saying you can't do it, I'm just saying that Fantasy Battles did it better. So, and all of this is my opinion. My opinion. So, you know, fight me in the comments. I don't care. I'm just going to ignore your comments if you start laying into me about this, because I liked Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I like Age of Sigmar. It's just not the same game, and it's not giving me the same kind of, you know, experience. And I preferred the experience of Warhammer Fantasy Battles over Age of Sigmar. Especially since I feel like I can get the experience of Age of Sigmar in Warhammer 40k and better. So, that's my opinion. But yeah, they could have just left it for 2 to 3 years and not announced it, and I would have been happy, you know, playing Age of Sigmar with my armies that I'd rebased and not been upset. As it is, they've announced a logo, nothing else, and kind of given everyone hope that maybe they'll do something good with it, but also now just the terror that for 2 to 3 years they might just be messing about and getting it all wrong and not understanding what made it good. You don't know. There's absolutely no way of knowing what's going on, especially if it's actually being handled by the specialist games team. They've had some hits, they've had some misses, no one knows what's going on with that. So yeah, I would have preferred them to not announce it at all until it was 6 months out, to be honest. I think that would have gotten better, and I wouldn't have basically been able to sit there just going, why did I rebase my armies? I don't want to rebase them again, I don't think they'll survive. I honestly don't. I don't think my Dark Elf army would survive being rebased back to square bases. So yeah, that's a thing. Warhammer Underworlds is dead. No one's playing it here. The tournament scene is probably thriving, but in terms of casual play, like locally, nothing. No one cares. I only really get to play it with my partner, and even then, very rarely. Its big advantage is that it fits on our coffee table, and once I finish painting my Blood Bowl teams, which, you know, that might take another year, we'll be playing Blood Bowl instead, because I kind of prefer that, and it's bigger table, takes about the same amount of time to play a match, so long as you're not playing something boring like dwarves versus dwarves. The most boring matchup in Blood Bowl you could ever have. Yeah, it's just no one's watching it. No one's watching any videos to do with it. The tournament players are all just playing it on Tabletop Simulator, so they're not even playing it like in real life that much. You know, they're all practicing it on Tabletop Simulator rather than playing it in real life. They're not. The tournament players aren't even painting their models anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a dead game system. In terms of making YouTube content for it. So, you know, that's a bit of a shame. Beastgrave video that I did, the unboxing, no one cared. No one cared at all about that video, which is a big shame, because I think Beastgrave shook it up enough to make it interesting again, but I don't think it's ever going to win back players that it's lost. If you didn't like the first edition of Warhammer Underworlds, you're not going to like the current one for exactly the same reasons, because it's exactly the same game. There's no narrative element to it. There's no way to play the game in a kind of connected series of games way. I think they needed to add a campaign system to it, not just a ladder system, but a campaign where you can actually like adjust your deck as you play the game, or for your characters to level up over games, you know. And yes, they added that to Warcry, but Warcry is too big and actually requires scenery and terrain. I feel like they could have done something with the Underworlds that made it appeal to more than just tournament players, but it's only appealing to tournament players now, which means that it's got a very small fan base, a very small, very passionate fan base that will buy every single thing that ever comes out for it. But that doesn't pay the bills in terms of YouTube ad revenue. And Space Marines are still king of the hill, despite everything. That's what I understand. So who knows what's going to happen with that. And they released the most ridiculous little tool for holding your models while you spray them with a spray can. It's like, that's going to get gummed up within 3 rounds of spraying something. It's going to be completely useless. that is a complete and 100% waste of money. It's just, I couldn't, when I saw that, I couldn't believe it. I was like, that is the biggest waste of money and plastic I have ever seen in my life. And I once bought a thing where you could squeeze two halves of a burger together with cheese in the middle, so that you could make cheese in the middle burgers, when that was awful. And I feel like I would have gotten more value out of that than I would out of a thing to be able to spray my models with a spray can. Most people just use like an old kitchen roll tube and you glue type models to the top, or a piece of wood, or a bit of cardboard. It's like, it's not hard. And that stuff is free. You already got it. It's like, wow. I'm not gonna lie, it's starting to feel like Games Workshop is going back to the times of Kirby, just with more specialist game releases. It feels like they're not listening to what people want and telling them what they want more than they went round. Like when they ousted Kirby as CEO and got the new guy in, he did a really good job of listening to what the community wanted from Games Workshop and then responding to it. But it feels a lot more like Games Workshop is telling the community what they want, which is what they did when they had Kirby in charge. So I don't know if they've just kind of got, like, what's the word? Lackadaisical? They've kind of, like, slid back into that comfort zone of just assuming they know what the community wants and not actually asking them. I mean, the Sisters of Battle is good, but you know, it's an example of them kind of second guessing what the community wants. The community is gagging for Sisters of Battle models, and then they come up massively short and overcharge for them. So, yeah, this is a good way for me to end my association with Games Workshop. They haven't sent me anything since Beastgrave, so I'm just assuming they didn't like what I did and they're never going to send me anything ever again. Fair enough. I'm fine with that. It means I can talk about other things, which, for example, I'm going to. And I don't know if they are here. Yes, they are. Let's do a poll. If you've watched this far, then good on you. This video is almost half an hour long. I have here 2 excellent models from Hasslefree Miniatures. We'll call this one A and this one B. So, you know, left A, right B. I'm going to leave them in the middle because otherwise the exposure goes wrong. I'm going to paint one of these for a video. And you all can, you know, cast your vote as to which one you'd like to see. This one I believe is supposed to be a druid. This one is supposed to be a ranger. Or possibly this is just a priest and this is a druid. I can't remember which way around it is. But they're basically some D&D figures. Actually 28mm scale. I mean, I'm going to be honest, kind of rather paint this one than this one. But they're both really, really good. They're both lovely sculpts from Kev over at Hasslefree Miniatures, who is not sponsoring this in any way. I just think that they need... They could always use more money over at Hasslefree. They're a very good independent miniatures company that makes excellent miniatures for your D&D and other role-playing type games. So, cast your vote in the comments and it will be taken into account when deciding which one I'm going to paint. A, B, Ranger or Priest? Or Druid or Priest? I'm not sure. I think this is a Druid, this is a Priest. That's how I'd use them anyway, to represent models. So yeah, cast your vote. This will go up on Patreon eventually. I'm quite looking forward to painting these as a change of pace from painting just all Games Workshop stuff all the time. And yeah. That's a thing we're doing. Community engagement. We need more of it, apparently. And yeah. So, videos on how to paint blonde hair and anything else I can salvage from Skaith's Wild Hunt going up on Patreon soon. Back to normal schedule on here. Video every Wednesday, assuming I don't fall ill again. And painting just the most Nighthaunts at the moment. 52 models, I think it is, of Nighthaunts. So that's what I'm doing for my own personal time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. I much appreciate all the people that watch these little vlogs. You don't have to. It would be nice if you all came over to Patreon and gave me $1 just to help see me through the old Christmas season. Yeah, I'm begging for money. What of it? But that's it. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you around. What are you hoping to get for Christmas? I'm hoping to get rent money. That would be nice. So, you can subscribe there. Check out my Patreon there. YouTube thinks you like this other video. And ring that bell, click that like button, click that dislike button. I don't care. And I'll see you around. Bye bye.